this morning, we're going back to school with a 360 twist.
Yeah, the cursive lessons and handwriting assignments we grew up with are going away in a lot of places.
So it's an issue that's causing somewhat of a generational divide.
Denver 7's Russell Haythorne is taking us 360 this morning on whether cursive should be left for dead or revived for generations to come.
The Declaration of Independence was handwritten in cursive. Many personal checks still need to be handwritten and signed.
Rudolph?
Even pop culture has its opinions on cursive.
I hate cursive and I hate all of you!
Since the U.S. adopted Common Core standards in 2010, cursive has declined and even disappeared in some schools, but is erasing cursive to the detriment of future generations. Let's do some homework on the collapse of cursive in this 360 with a calligrapher who says it still has benefits, a professor who teaches future teachers, a tutor who says good riddance, and another who says cursive still has some practicality. Let's begin with the argument for keeping cursive alive in the home studio of Srujana Nimagada, owner of Meenakshi Designs.
Learning to write well is something that you're never going to regret.
For her, it's not a cloudy issue at all. Good handwriting has value.
I think there's just a different sort of connection that you have through being a handwritten letter.
And she argues there's a quiet confidence projected when communicating in cursive.
If there's a way to keep it in schools, I think they really should.
There isn't a lot of research supporting cursive one way or another.
Dr. Krista Griffin is a literacy professor at MSU Denver with 25 years experience.
There's not one size fits all anything in education.
She says in the 21st century, with high-stakes standardized testing, cursive isn't always worth valuable classroom time given the demands put on teachers.
If I'm a teacher and I know that my job is dependent upon how well my students do, cursive isn't on the test.
But she also sees strong cognitive learning with reading and writing in cursive.
When I'm taking notes, I can't move as quickly as I can when I'm keyboarding. So I'm going to be thinking about what the professor is saying and paraphrasing, which is a higher level cognitive skill.
I learned cursive when I was in the 3rd grade.
And Victor Camacho says he hasn't used it since.
There was no real practical reason to use it.
He's now the owner of High Performance Tutoring with 35 Denver-based tutors, where he puts a heavy emphasis on STEM disciplines.
I mean, art is practical in that it kind of feeds our soul in a sense, but not practical in the sense that, like, oh, you need to eat.
Camacho believes a greater emphasis on things like statistics, personal finance, and computer programming would be much more beneficial than teaching cursive. He says higher proficiency in those skills could also alleviate many ongoing societal issues.
If we replace, teaching cursive with, like, helping people manage their finances, I think that would go a long ways. How to manage money and how compounding interest works and how, what an investment is, what risk versus return is.
And that brings us to another expert, Stephanie Rosalki, owner of Wash Park Tutoring.
Cursive is just not a skill that is needed today to be successful. Everything has really moved to a technological platform.
Rosalki does, however, say cursive can still help with disorders like dyslexia.
Kind of limits reversals that are happening for students. It is beautiful. It looks really nice.
Bringing it all back to Srujana.
There's something very grounding about picking up a pen and paper.
If nothing else, she says the elegance of script alone is worth keeping cursive alive.
There's a lot of history, there's a lot of tradition. You can tell a lot of what's happening in society through the years as you study a style of script.
Russell Haythorne, Denver 7.
I think I'm the only person who can read my cursive writing. Well, we want to hear from you. Should we teach cursive in the classroom or get rid of it altogether? You can email us at 360@thedenverchannel.com.